Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. This will go over the starts and sits for Week 7, so I'll cover all 15 games this week. Split this video into two parts here, so I'll cover the first 7 games in part 1 of this video, and then after we get one more day of practice reports and all that, I'll cover the final 8 games. So obviously we'll touch on the Thursday Night Football game here. This one will come out Wednesday night, so you'll have 24 hours to watch this before that one comes out, and then we got 6 other games to talk about. We got a London game this week. A lot of fun football this weekend. Lots of stuff to talk about. And I'll just go through game by game, sort of tell you guys how I think the games are going to go, which players I'd be looking to put into my lineups this week. And then if you guys do end up with any specific start-sit questions, just let me know in the comments below. I love interacting with you guys there and doing what I can to help you guys out. So yeah, that being said, let's get into the first game here. So starting things off with the Broncos at the Saints here on Thursday Night Football. Not exactly the game we're all dreaming of watching tomorrow, but should still be at least some things to keep our eyes on. If you want to, I think it'd be fair to say you could start both defenses in this game, Alvin Kamara and then nobody else. But I think there are some other plays we can at least keep in mind here, although both defenses and Kamara should be in lineups. Javonte Williams is a desperation play at running back. We're going to see Audric Estime back for this Broncos offense. It just makes things a little bit scary there. Javonte has not been good, so it's a little concerning there. I don't want to play Javonte, but if you're really down bad, I could see you doing it. Only 2 teams on bye this week, so I hope you have better options, but I get it. Running back sucks, and we've all got some bad things to go with there, so I get it if you need to play Javonte. Cortland Sutton, really low-end flex option. Weekly reminder, don't use your flex spot on Thursday Night Football. If you have your flex, if Sutton's like your flex player, put him into your wide receiver spot in case one of your other wide receivers gets hurt or something. Just give yourself that extra flexibility throughout the week. But Sutton feels really touchdown dependent. I mean, he is the clear wide receiver 1 in this offense, so you could do worse, but he's not exactly a guy that I'd be expecting to go out there and put up. Like, he's not going to have 100 yards probably at any point this season, so you need that touchdown. Don't love it, but you can play him if you want to. Just keep an eye on Troy Franklin for the Broncos as well. It could be Vele as well, but Troy Franklin played up to 65% of the snaps last week. He was really good with Bo Nix in college, scored a touchdown last week. You've got young ascending players. It's just worth keeping an eye on him. Sean Payton was pretty vocal last week after they lost. Just didn't put up anything on offense. Pretty vocal about wanting to see all the young guys try and get some young blood in there and see if they can make something happen. We could see Troy Franklin get much more of an opportunity this week, and I don't necessarily believe in the talent. I don't think he's a very special player, but we haven't seen that yet on the NFL field. So if he ends up being really great, he could earn a role there. So we got to keep an eye on him. For the Saints, not great. They're super banged up. They're not going to have Derek Carr, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, or Taysom Hill. So yeah, basically their entire offense is missing outside of Alvin Kamara here. Got to talk about Bub Means. Doesn't feel great mentioning him, but he was decent last week. Had 40-something yards and a touchdown. Seems to have a decent bit of a chemistry with Spencer Rattler. It's the classic backup quarterback, backup wide receiver situation. We do see that happen from time to time. So if you need to play Bub Means, you could. I don't love it, but it is an option. It's like a really deep league option though. Then Juwan Johnson, moderately interesting here. They need targets in this offense. Juwan Johnson could easily be the target leader outside of Alvin Kamara here. So I think it's probably Alvin Kamara being the only one of the Saints, really this entire game you need to start. And then Juwan Johnson would probably be my second favorite Saint to play, but I just really don't love that this game. Next, we got the Patriots at the Jaguars. We're going across the pond here, so we got another London game. Jacksonville stayed in London for this whole week. So for the Patriots, Drake May does make this a little bit more exciting of a game here. He put up 3 touchdowns last week in his first game ever, had 38 rushing yards, 240-plus passing yards. Just great to see that he can actually bring a little bit of life to this Patriots offense. So it makes Ramondre a solid starting play. Low-end RB2 for me. He's coming off that injury if he plays. So I would play him, but obviously don't expect a ton out of him. Demario Douglas, actually really interesting for me as well. He looked to be the clear wide receiver 1 for me in this offense. I've always thought Douglas was a good player, and I think that he is going to be the most reliable target for Drake May, so I like him as a guy that you can flex this week. Then, the Jaguars are a horrible defense, so it certainly opens up a lot of opportunity for the Patriots there. For the Jaguars, I want to start both Brian Thomas and Evan Ingram. The Patriots defense does not scare me, and those 2 guys are focal points of this offense. I know Brian Thomas was a disappointment last week, but I wouldn't worry about it. He's right back in our lineups. Christian Kirk, low-end flex play. I don't love it, but, he'll get some targets. You could do worse there. Then for the running backs there, Tank Bigsby, a low-end running back play. I don't think Travis Etienne's going to play in this game with the hamstring injury, so you're looking at Bigsby and Dearness Johnson getting all the work. Bigsby is a low-end starting option if you need it. I'm not going to mess around with playing Dearness Johnson, and even Bigsby doesn't have me super excited, but he's someone you can play if you need to. Next, we got the Lions at the Vikings. Really hope this game delivers here. We got two teams that are playing fantastic. A 5-0 Vikings team versus a 4-1 Lions team, I believe. So just really exciting football here. Hopefully, we get the shootout that I'm hoping for. For the Lions, start everybody. You're starting David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff's a great start. Laporta would be the one guy that I would say maybe you're not starting, but the tight end position is so brutal. He did have the big play last week. You're probably just going to keep putting Laporta out there, but like, say you've got Laporta and Evan Ingram, I would probably play Evan Ingram over Laporta. I've got a couple leagues where I had one league where Laporta got dropped, so I snagged him off waivers. So now I've got him and Trey McBride. I'm playing Trey McBride over him. So there are situations out there where you're not playing Laporta every single week, but I think you're probably just playing him because he's still got upside there. For the Vikings, Sam Darnold, interesting streaming option here. The Lions are a team that you should be able to throw against. I know Dak didn't prove it last week, but it should be a good setup here for a shootout. Aaron Jones will be right back in my lineup if he's active. If he is inactive, Ty Chandler feels like kind of a bit of a desperation play. Cam Akers was recently traded to the Vikings. Hopefully that's not a sign that they're worried about Aaron Jones missing more time, but I don't know if he'll necessarily be super involved in the game plan here, but it just puts a little bit of a wet towel in terms of how locked in we can expect Chandler's workload to be if Aaron Jones misses, so I'd prefer not to go there. Jefferson, you're obviously playing him, and then Jordan Addison feels like somebody that I want in my lineups as well. This game could be a shootout. Addison's a great player. I think he's a solid flex play if you need him there. Next, we got the Titans at the Bills. For the Titans, Tony Pollard, a great start. I don't really want to play any other Titan, though. Like, the Bills' defense looked okay last week. The Titans just can't move the ball through the air at all. Will Levis is playing absolutely awful. It's going to be Tony Pollard and nobody else for the Titans for me. For the Bills, Josh Allen, he's a must start. Every single week, you're just playing Josh Allen. James Cook, he'd be right back into my lineup if he plays. Ray Davis would be a solid option if James Cook misses this game. Dalton Kincaid, of course, he's in your lineup as well. Tight end position is just rough. He's still catching a lot of passes, a lot of close to the line of scrimmage stuff, so you're not really getting those chunk plays, but involves tight ends. They've got to be in starting lineups. And then Amari Cooper, interesting here. I think I want to sit him this week. I think he'll get L'Jarius Sneed a lot on him. First game for the Buffalo Bills, obviously not something we're super excited about there. And I mean, it's good to know that Amari Cooper, we've seen him get traded midseason and be good before when he was traded from the Raiders to the Cowboys. So he can handle it, but it's just tough, acclimating in 1 week. If he plays, so I view him as like a low-end flex play, and I just prefer not to start him this week, although I do think this is obviously going to be an upgrade for Cooper long term. Next, we got the Dolphins at the Colts. Hopefully, this is our last week without Tua for Miami. Really hope he can come back and elevate this entire offense again. But in the meantime, Tyreek Hill, probably a low-end wide receiver 3. Devon Achane, a low-end running back 2, assuming he plays. Raheem Mostert, it feels like a desperate running back play. You're hoping he falls in the end zone. This is a Colts team we can run on, so you could play Mostert here, but just don't expect a huge ceiling game out of him. You kind of need that touchdown for him to pay off. Jalen Waddle, I don't want to play him this week. Just not a fantastic enough matchup for me to trust him without Tua. With Tua back, I think he'll be right back to being a solid wide receiver 2, but I can't do it this week. For the Colts, Jonathan Taylor absolutely needs to be in lineups if he's active, although I don't feel like you need to play any Colts running back if Jonathan Taylor misses again. Josh Downs, low-end flex play for me, just because Anthony Richardson should be back here. Pretty much makes Michael Pittman a non-option for me. I'm just not excited about the involvement of Pittman. He was bad with Richardson earlier. Downs seems to be the clear wide receiver 1 in this offense, and then you're going to get limited passing production with Anthony Richardson. So Josh Downs would be the only pass catcher I would even consider for Indianapolis. And then even Richardson, too scary for me this week. Like, I want to see him play through a full game. He's obviously coming off the injury. I need to see him come out there and play a full game of football before I trust him in my lineup again. Although, I could see a Reed situation where you need to. Maybe you've got Caleb and Anthony Richardson. Caleb on bye. I could see you just needing to roll him out there, but it feels really scary playing Anthony Richardson this week. Next, we got the Seahawks at the Falcons. For the Seahawks, I mean, in general, this entire game should be super exciting. 2 mediocre to bad defenses, especially on Seattle's side of the ball. They've been horrendous on defense against 2 really good offenses, so this should be a lot of fun. Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, absolute must starts. You're playing them for sure. Lockett, JSN, decent flex plays as well if you need them. Geno Smith, really solid streaming option. I would be looking to get him in my lineup if you don't have like our stud option behind him. Kirk Cousins, really solid option as well. I prefer Geno to Cousins this week just because I think you can run on Seattle really effectively, so they might lean on Bijan and Algier. But Cousins is a really great option as well. Bijan, Drake London, they both need to be in your lineups for sure. Kyle Pitts, solid starting option. Again, the Seahawks defense has been horrendous. I don't think Kyle Pitts is a must start, but again, it's just tough with the tight end spot. You're probably playing him. And then Tyler Algier, really solid running back play if you need him. Should be super involved. I bet you'll see 15-ish carries in this one. And Seattle just got absolutely carved up by both Jordan Mason and Isaac Guerrero last week. got ran all over by the Lions the week before, or by the Tyrone Tracy the week before, and the Lions before that. You can run on Seattle. Both these running backs for the Falcons should be great. And I forgot to put him in here, but Darnell Mooney, really solid flex option as well. I think I'd be looking to play him. I'd play him over both Lockett and JSN if I had to make that choice. And finally, the last game we'll cover today is going to be the Texans at the Packers. Hopefully we get a shootout here. This should be two high-scoring teams, two mediocre to bad offense or defenses versus some great offenses. So hopefully we get that shootout. For the Texans, I don't think there's a lot of decision-making to be had here. Like, with Nico Collins out, it's a pretty consolidated target tree here. You're playing Stroud, Mixon, Diggs, and Dell, and nobody else on the wide receiver side of the ball. Dalton Schultz would be the only real question mark. If you want to stream him, I think you can. I don't expect a big game out of him, but again, he should be the third target in this offense. There's obviously opportunity there playing for C.J. Stroud. For the Packers, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Jaden Reed, all three of those guys are must-starts for me. But then beyond them, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, and Robert Kraft, all solid starting options as well. Like, I would bet that Love, Jacobs, and Reed all probably pan out, have good weeks this week. And then between Doubs, Watson, and Kraft, I bet two of them do. So, it's just sort of rolling the dice there. Kraft was obviously the odd man out last week. Could easily be Watson or Doubs this week. With Dontavian Wicks out, it makes me feel a little bit more confident starting all of these guys, though, just because you will see all three receivers on the field a ton. Kraft to be on the field a ton. He ran a ton of routes last week still, so I'm not worried about Kraft, but he's just not like a must-start every single week. So you can play all of them. It just depends on what your other options are, but there's decent options if you need them out there. So that'll do it for the starts and sits for Week 7, Part 1. I will cover the final 8 games of the week in the second part of the video that'll come out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that one. That way we'll have covered all 15 games this week. If you guys do have any specific start sit questions that I didn't mention, any players I didn't mention in this video, anything you want to ask there, just let me know in the comments below. I'll be sure to get you a response and hopefully help you get your lineup set there. If you still have questions about what to do with your lineup, you can catch me Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. Go live every Sunday, 1 hour before those games kick off. Just recap the latest injury updates, tell you who the actives and inactives are, and then I give you any start-sit advice that you have. Just ask me the question live on stream. I'll make sure I get you guys an answer right there and get you guys ready to roll, get you guys some wins that week. So looking forward to seeing you guys on Sunday morning. If you guys want to stop by, if you want to make sure you don't miss any of the future content, just make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you'll keep getting notifications when new videos come out. That way you'll be along for the ride all year long, and we can win some championships together. So yeah, if you made it this far, give the video a thumbs up, and I'll catch you with the next one, guys. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.